Hey everyone, thanks for joining us today on our very first live episode. We're going to be doing some testing and whatnot, so there's some things that might pop up, some things that might shift. Who knows, we may crash the whole thing. Just kidding, hopefully we don't do that. But we're here today on our first live episode, so I wanted to talk about a specific topic, make some use of the live video for our very first time, and get rolling with our very first live of Inbound TV. So thanks for watching. My name is Ken. Today we're going to be talking about a really cool topic that I think is important as we go into quarter one, and it's going to be talking about the New Year ad performance and what to expect. A lot of changes happen going from quarter four to quarter one, and I want to highlight some of those important things as our production team in the back here is able to test the live, do their thing. I can have some time to talk to you. If anything does pop up and you have any questions as we continue to go about this live, feel free to throw some information into the comments. If you have a question, you have a thought, or anything comes to mind as I go through some of the topics that I want to talk about and cover in our quarter one strategy and getting set for the new year. So happy new year to you. And I hope that you are getting started with a very, very powerful ad campaign, something to rock the ship for your company in quarter one and in January specifically. A lot of different things come out of quarter one. I think it's a really important time to see what happened in 2023, analyze what your game plan is in 2024, make some changes, tweak some things, and hit the ground running. Now, hopefully you were planning and strategizing with your marketing calendar at the end of 2023, and that's led you into 2024, and you already know what you're going to be doing, and the campaign styles, the creative styles, the copy, and the media outlets that you're going to be using to execute your marketing strategy. But if you don't, that's probably the best place to start. Create a marketing calendar. What are you going to be doing through the rest of quarter one and beyond, right? In quarter two, and quarter three, and quarter four. For a lot of the companies, we're analyzing the entire year's worth of campaigns. What should we be doing from month to month and week to week? If there's a holiday in that week, if there's a particular event that resonates with your niche, what should you be doing to execute a marketing strategy around those significant events? That's a really great place to start. So if you have not yet done that, start to do that and start to think about how you can execute a marketing strategy around that time of year or that particular event. That's going to be a great place. But if you have been running ads and if you've been doing things in quarter four already, even though we're a couple days into quarter one and into January here, you should be feeling some of the bigger changes that make shifts around performance in quarter four and quarter one. We're running a lot of different ads right now, spending a lot of money on different platforms. Our biggest spenders are Facebook, Instagram, Google, and YouTube. From Facebook specifically and from the social side, we're seeing a lot of different changes. A real big impact around performance happening from really the start of quarter one. As soon as the holidays are over, as soon as New Year's kind of turns over, we were feeling a big change in velocity. I'm interested to hear if you're running ads and if you've been running ads in December of 2023 or December of any year, have you been also feeling the change in lead volume and engagement on your ads over the past week? That's something that we've been seeing a lot of. You can really tell the algorithmic shifts that are made from Q4 to Q1. It's a big change and a big impact on performance. From that, because I think that we're seeing more consumer engagement and more consumer lead generation from the campaigns. Most of what we're doing is lead generation. I would say seeing a bigger shift going into e-commerce in quarter one and 2024 as a whole, but still for years and years we've been in the lead generation space. And the amount of ad engagement that we're seeing right now is big, which then leads me to believe that the amount of people in the audiences that we're targeting that are seeing the ads is going up. The level of performance is definitely hitting a new high over the last 6 months. So something to be aware of. I think that if you ran ads in quarter four and you didn't really like what you saw or you didn't get a good flavor of the platform, I think you should test it again in quarter one. Especially as we continue to move through January, I think that you'll see more or less a way for you to hear better reactions, see better results better cost per leads, better cost per acquisitions, and your CPM should just look a lot better. We're definitely seeing that right now, and we're spending a lot of money on ads, over 6 figures a month on ads that we'll be able to see a lot of results on. So definitely take a look at that and continue to investigate performance shifts as they come out of quarter 4. Also, one thing that I want to touch on is the consumer behaviors, consumer thought processes. Something that we see a lot in quarter 4 is that people are, especially December and November, people are more, I would say, careful about their spending. They're more strategic with their spending, and their spending aligns with not only their self-purchasing behaviors, but they're purchasing for others in December. A lot of big holidays where gifts being given to others is a really important time. So keep that in mind. I think that consumer behaviors have a shift from November and December into January. It's more about me as a consumer in January, not giving as much. So the consumer sentiment should kind of come back down to the self of the consumer behavior opposed to for those who they are purchasing for. And with that in mind, the audiences are, and likely why we have better results, the audiences are going to be performing better in that time because purchasing decisions are a little bit more direct. So consumer behavior is a really big thing that shifts from quarter 4 to quarter 3, or from quarter 4 to quarter 1, I'm sorry, because of the fact that holidays are in play. So something to think about as well. And then budgeting, right? Depending on your business, depending on if quarter 4 is a bigger portion of your year, if you're an e-commerce store, maybe it is a bigger time of year and your spending is higher in quarter 4, how are you going to be shifting that budget in quarter 1? I have a separate video that we've recently put out about diversification of ad spend, and keep that in mind. In quarter 1, you should start to think about how can I diversify? Something that's going to pop up this year that isn't always around, but it is, I would say, seasonal or cyclical for trends is the politics side of things. Political season is here. It's going to impact some of the media buying that is done on certain platforms. So the question for your company should be, how do we diversify our ad spend to ensure that we're maximizing potential results on the platforms that we're spending on? If you have a lot of your budget allocated to a platform that's going to be impacted largely upon political media buying, then you should start to diversify out to soften the landing and soften the potential issues that you could deal with as bumps and as higher budget campaigns come into play and buy up a lot of that time and space on those media platforms, particularly traditional. And so if you're in traditional a lot, how do you segment into the social platforms or the search platforms of the world? And you start to soften your landing around that. So keep in mind that ad diversification is a really important thing. We did a premiere episode, I think a week or 2 ago, in regards to that. So you can take a look at that, and that'll help us explain how we start to think about diversification of media platforms. But again, quarter 1 is a time where it's not going to be super heavy into that, but how do you subject your budget to the proper placements, the proper avenues, so that you maximize results? And it's always better to get ahead of that, right? If you think that quarter 2, quarter 3, and quarter 4 are going to get progressively worse with the political season, you don't want to be playing that game when the corner turns, right? You want to be playing that game before then, so that when the turn comes, you are very well prepared, and when you're there, the adjustments that you need to make are already in place. You've already tested your processes, you've tested your landing pages, you've tested ad copy and creatives on those placements and on those platforms. And when you need to optimize, you're 100% ready, and you can just make your adjustments in a very minor way, and you can run with what you have already learned on that platform opposed to just getting started, because it does take time. Keep in mind, it takes time to get an ad campaign built out on the platforms and to execute, but then once you execute it, you have to use the data and the analytics that you're gaining from that placement and that platform and start to use it and turn the wheel and progressively optimize your campaign to get better, because performance at the beginning is not going to be the best. It's going to be a little bit more difficult in the beginning. So get there before you need to get there, and you're going to have a lot better of a time when the time comes that you need to be in that kind of diversification mindset. So keep that in mind. The other things that you need to start to be aware of are different, I would say, strategies and places where performance is at a peak. I keep hearing a lot of people talk about TikTok Live or LinkedIn Live. One of the reasons why we're implementing a weekly live video is to be able to expand our reach, to communicate with more individuals that are in the marketing sector and that are interested in learning about marketing. Live is not just something that we want to implement because we want to try it. We know that lives are a really great thing to do, and they're a really impactful way to get content out to the marketplace. And that should be in your strategy. How do I implement lives on different platforms? How do I implement strategic organic content on platforms like TikTok and YouTube Shorts and Reels and all of these different places where you can potentially reach more people because of newer, fresh placements that the platforms are testing in the marketplace. So not only just diversifying and playing your hand on that platform, but actually getting strategic with the platform. The content that you're placing and the ads that you're placing on LinkedIn may be dramatically different than the placements and platforms and content, aspect ratios, styles, length of videos, all of that stuff on, let's say, Reels on Instagram. So think about how you can get strategic per platform. That's a really important thing as well. And that shifts annually, well before annually too. That can shift from month to month, from quarter to quarter. So you have to be ahead of that to make sure that you're playing your hand on the platforms that are being tested out there by the large programs. And continue to measure things, right? Analytics and performance is a really, really big piece of making sure that you're getting out there, but what you're doing is strategic and is bringing in a yield in some fashion. So using Google Analytics that's a big aspect of it. Using programs that track clicks, whether it's heat maps or screen recordings, those are great ways to analyze conversion rate optimization and consumer behavior on platforms. Using, obviously, things like cookies and pixels and whatnot that we see ever changes with from literally day to day. Those are still useful in some fashions. Using third-party integrations where you can track that analytical trend is really important. So making sure that you're being strategic with your content and then analyzing that content or those the advertising campaigns in a way that ensures for you to be able to execute, measure, refine, and optimize, and then execute again and continue to grow. That's the key piece of this, and that's how a lot of the clients that we continue to work with are yielding good results. We always kind of implement strategies for testing, we always optimize, and we always ensure that what we're doing is giving us another point of leverage to be better and be bigger and continue to advance our strategy so that we continue to further the company's performance and overall return at the end of the day, right? Because I think marketing makes sense when the financial revenue is there to follow. Anything else that anyone would like to talk about or discuss on future lives or future videos that we create? We're testing a lot. We spend a lot of money on different platforms every single day, and we have the ability to use that as a way to generate more knowledge a little bit quicker, because cumulative budgets across many different media accounts is a really great way to see how things are working. When you're testing in two different places geographically, two different accounts, two different brands, you can come up to a conclusion with how things are working a little bit more easier than just running something out of one ad account. And we have the ability to work with a vast amount of clients across vast amount of different industries and different locations, so we can draw a consensus on that information pretty quickly and seamlessly. And we can see if it's a platform-driven consensus or if it's just an area or just a certain industry. We have the ability to see that. So we love to share that information with everybody as long as we could generate that data. So if you have any questions on anything that you would like to learn about, feel free to throw it in the comments. We'll check past videos, comments, and then use that as some content in the future. But I appreciate that you joined us today. I really do feel that Q1 is going to be a great quarter for everyone. We see some stellar performance already, and we're only days into the beginning of the new year. So we're happy to be able to see that performance increase, and we're really hoping for a terrific year for everyone. We love coming on here. Don't forget to join us again next Friday at 1 p.m. for another episode of Inbound TV. And again, my name is Ken. Thanks for joining us, and have a great weekend.